listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So I've decided to slide from eating my feelings to shopping my feelings. Does this happen to anyone recently?
I think you can do both at the same time.
From the comfort of your own home.
Exactly. At one time, right, we would say, well, if I want to save money, I won't go out of the house. But it's the opposite now. I need to go. I need to run as far away from my home and my phone, obviously, because it is, I feel a twinge. And wow, this duvet would probably make me feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's too easy.
The number of impulse comfort duvets, my God.
Well, I know, because before you would have to be like, oh, I got to schlep down to the shopping mall. I have to go find the section. I have to be prepared to lug a duvet home. And it was a work.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it just appears on your doorstep.
How many duvets do you need to buy before it's better? Just wondering.
I think 70.
Okay. I'll start making plans.
So it's enough to literally bury yourself alive.
There you go.
In the comfort of 100% cotton. You know what? Honestly, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. There was a couple of weeks ago, I went to take my mom out for lunch. And, my brother and I were taking her out for her birthday. And my brother arrived earlier. And so we were getting ready to get in the car. And my mom walked beside me and she said, I've already talked to your brother about this. And oh no, what is it? And she said, the fireplace is broken.
What does that mean?
It's a gas fireplace. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't really know how to respond to that kind of thing. But anyway, I said, well, then she said, well, it's going to be very expensive to replace. And I said, oh, okay, well, then don't replace it. Well, it gives me lots of happiness. Said in a very aggressive tone. So I was, well, then you definitely should get a new fireplace. But my mom doesn't like to use the internet. So she actually had to go to a shop and look through a book. And
wow.
And talk to somebody?
Yeah. And I was alarmed. And she had to
Is that why she had to run it by you and your brother first?
Yeah.
Before she can cross the threshold of the fire shop, she needs both of you to countersign.
Well, it did seem that we had to work up to something. And then I had to get phone calls about what kind and what would look the best and who can come. And I was thinking, oh, at least my duvet will be here in 2 days.
So you're saying that retail therapy runs in your family?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Am I the only? Is that?
You come by it honestly.
Yeah.
All of my especially the women in my family. No, but it's been everyone in my family has a strong retail therapy / collector / am I almost a hoarder gene? So
does this come from your dad? Because you talked about your dad's junk shop, right?
Well, my dad had the junk shop and stuff, but also my mom and her mom collected figurines and those decorative plates. And a lot of them used to do painting their own sort of ceramics.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so I don't know if I've ever shown you guys these two absolutely bonkers ceramic busts that I have inherited from my mother, but one is absolutely a pirate and one looks like a pirate wench. And
the genders.
Heaving bosoms on this pirate wench are absolutely just
why aren't they on display
behind me all the time?
How big are they?
The bosoms?
They're bigger than you want them to be,
Okay.
I gotta say. It's I would say about the width of this bookshelf. like tall.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
And or like the height of that bookshelf, not the width. Yeah, they're bigger than you'd want them to be, I think, for sure. But
So wait, where are these things?
we keep them under the television in a cabinet that's you can't see. Like, I'll bring them out on occasion, but I don't
What
keep them on
occasion
display.
works well to bring the lusty pirate busts out?
Well, I'll tell you, when we had this 40th birthday party thing for our friend Hannah McGregor earlier this year, it was a Taskmaster themed birthday. And I was asked if I had any sort of unusual things that you might have, like in the same way that the Taskmaster house has like, or whatever, the set has like some unusual
Knickknacks.
And so I brought the Pirate King and Wench to the party because they were supposed to be used as display. I also brought a really old globe that still lights up. And we ended up not displaying the Pirate King and Queen. We just showed them off because everyone was worried that they were going to like get broken.
Oh, well, fair.
Well, I just thought of an idea for a Christmas gift for you. Like, you need like sort of like one of those Grecian column displays, like so it can be raised.
Oh, very
beautiful.
Put
Wow.
in pride of place in your house.
Wow. I am going to say that actually would be extremely Emily Gilmore of you. And I resist, AG. I resist. And I, in advance, decline your beautiful gift. But you know what? It's a good segue.
It
'Cause-
is,
Astonishing.
at the very
What a purse.
least, hidden in the basement and brought out only when her mother-in-law comes around.
Exactly. I am Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And I'm Helen Zaltzman.
Yay, you
Okay,
are.
good.
You
Just
are.
checking.
Well, I really,
Woo.
the question mark at the end.
You can never tell.
You keep us on our toes. You're listening to Pop This, and we are here to talk about, you know what? We're actually here to talk about, like, we're here to talk about The Third Gilmore Girl, a memoir by Kelly Bishop. It's also our first resurrection of the Pop This book club that we sort of tried to do a little bit, like a long time ago. We, like, in the first few seasons, as if we ever take a long enough break. The first few years of Pop This, we would occasionally do books, and we did a few that, like, we had a lot of fun. It was really cool and had a good time. And then we gave up. I don't know why. But you know what? I'm so glad we resumed it with this because this is an excellent time.
Yeah, I would say that it was less book club, more memoir club, right? I don't think we didn't actually take on any fiction, right?
Hey, memoirs are books too.
No, we did.
Well, maybe they
Zoe
are
Whittle.
fiction. Which one did we do?
Zoe Whittle came on and did
Oh,
her
we
book, Some
did.
Kind of
You're
People.
right. Okay, I stand corrected. I'm sorry.
That was a long time ago. We also talked about Gilmore Girls with Zoe a little bit when she was on.
I think we talked about Gilmore Girls with everybody, don't we? At some point.
At some point.
At some point.
And
yeah.
it's I'm glad that we're sharing this with you now, Helen.
I'm thrilled. Love to be Gilmore Girls shared, or whatever the correct verb is.
I didn't quite realize that you are also a Gilmore Girls watcher / fan / person.
Well, I am most of the way through a rewatch right now, which I embarked upon for the old mental health. It's been partially effective, but now I'm mid-season 6 and
Oh, that's right.
there's a particular character that shows up. I mean, I don't want to spoiler a 20-plus-year-old show.
You're okay.
Yeah.
We've talked
All right.
about so many
Luke's daughter
aspects of
shows
Gilmore.
up
Don't
and
worry.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't going to do it for the mental health.
No.
Not anymore.
What was the
April
thinking with
Nardini.
April? I do
Nardini.
not
Because
know.
they've got to
Yeah.
throw rocks through the window of Luke and Lorelai's greenhouse of love.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird one to like choose.
Since Christopher's always there,
Oh.
right?
Oh, throw him through the greenhouse window. God,
Yeah.
irredeemable.
It's such a tired soap opera device of like, I have a long lost child. And it feels to me like a very cliched thing for Amy to have thrown in there when she actually, like, I think she really like resisted a lot of tired plot device things for like so long. Like, I don't know how she got so Just like, all right, fine, give him a kid.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
I just
because
I don't know why.
when that concept was first introduced about jumping the shark, because of when you went to the site and did a deeper dive into it, it was always like the mystery kid was always or new baby is always thrown in just like a shark, and it's very it's frustrating. Very frustrating. I'm sorry for where you are.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Are you going to make it to the end?
Well, I thought I wasn't going to watch season 5, but I did, and I enjoyed it more than I remembered, even though I object very strongly to Logan. So I'm not going to count myself out of the rest of season 6 and 7, but let's see. I'm not looking forward to it, but there is like the best scene at some point in those seasons, and I want to see it, and I have to earn it. You can't just skip to it.
Wait, what's the best?
I agree.
What's the best scene?
It's the one where Rory and Lorelai are over at Richard and Emily's for dinner, and everyone's drunk, and it's like a little Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf squashed into a few minutes.
yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. It's really good. I just finished my fall rewatch, and I made it all the way through to the end of 7. And
Wow.
and yet I can say I've still never gone back to rewatch a year. Like the year of
Do you think
Gilmore
you ever
Girls,
will?
because I have had it suggested that I should give it one more chance, and I might.
I'll
at
watch
some
it with
point.
you, but I don't know if I want to do
Okay,
it alone.
okay, okay. No, you know what? I can do
Great.
that.
We did.
Like,
we watched the first one together, or at least
We did watch the first one together like a million years
yeah,
ago when
we
it first
did.
came out.
Maybe a little perspective will change how we feel about it. Because Kelly Bishop seems to think it was not that bad.
Well, she has personal.
I think
things,
she's
yeah.
an Amy
Apologist?
I really I think she's an Amy apologist. Like I think, and I can understand why like you go with that special relationship for so long, and then suddenly they're gone from the show, and you have this whole other writing team trying to sort of like nail some of the same beats, but like it absolutely feels stiff and weird. Like I understand why she felt it was like refreshing to come back
And
to
it was a job. Like she's always saying, well, now
Exactly.
I need
Yeah.
a job. And then the phone rang.
yeah,
She's
that's
a worker.
true.
I love that she ends the book in 2023 when she's in her 80s being like, well, what work's going to come up next? I love that.
I know, me too. Me too. Anyway, we're jumping all ahead of it. I do agree though. I think we should maybe do a rewatch of all four, like the year in life, and then let's meet back here and we'll all discuss it.
Yes.
Does that sound nice?
Sounds glorious.
Reconsider.
I like this idea. So, AG, you said you have secreted out Helen's bio.
God.
Yes. Very.
Did you ask my mother
had
for
to- had
her
to do a lot
version?
of digging. Good thing I have a lot of journalistic experience under my belt, or I never would have been able to uncover it. Helen Zaltzman is a multiple award-winning podcast host and producer. Her linguistics podcast, The Illusionist, has won multiple awards, and the live theatrical spin-off has appeared on stages around the world. Answer Me This, the comedy show she co-founded with Ollie Mann in 2007, was one of Britain's most beloved and successful independent podcasts, running for 400 episodes in nearly 15 years. In her podcast, Veronica Mars Investigations with Jenny Owen Youngs, she recapped the entirety of the TV show Veronica Mars, plus 2 versions of Pride and Prejudice. She's appeared regularly on BBC Radio's 2, 4, and 5 Live, as well as on podcasts including The Bugle, Bullseye, Getting Curious with Jonathan Van Ness, 99% Invisible, The Sporkful, Uloogies, The Infinite Monkey Cage, No Such Thing as a Fish, Buffering the Vampire Slayer, and many more.
There was one I
She
didn't
has-
recognize there. Belugies?
Yeah.
Belugies.
Uloogies?
You don't even remember this?
Belugies?
Oloogies? O-L-O-G.
Ologies.
Should I say that again? Ology, sorry.
No, I think you should keep all this. This has been great. This is my favorite
I've never seen that
moment
word
ever.
before. I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
Well, there's another thing I didn't get in
Oh,
your bio.
sorry. And Pop
She
This.
has-
I've been on Pop This.
Yeah.
She has co-written 2 toilet books, which have almost certainly been pulped by now. What are toilet books. I don't know.
Is this not a literary, well, it's not exactly literary, genre in Canada? Because in Britain, it's a very big genre in publishing where early November, loads of books come out for the purpose of someone buying them as a Christmas gift and they will never get read.
Oh.
So usually like a TV spin-off. They used to make them out of like a viral Twitter account that was in the form of a public figure of some kind saying unlikely things, put it in a book form.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. One of them was pretty good. It was the Answer Me This book adaptation in 2010. We did put some effort into that. I'm not saying that all of it deserves to exist in 2024. And the other one, I ghostwrote for a TV show where they discovered on the day that the book was due in that the writer hadn't written it and was off working on a different show. So
my
get
God.
Zaltzman in. And
Was it Ooglies?
that's my next publication, the official Ooglies handbook.
Okay, I have
This is the
another
best.
question
Another question,
relating to when you brought up that game show. What is that British game show called that you were talking about earlier? Taskmaster. Thank you. So your brother Andy is on the current Taskmaster. Am I to understand that correctly?
It is correct.
Have you been following along? Like, do you talk to him? Have you been following along? Like, give us your thoughts on what's happening this season on the show.
Well, it's fun to watch him on it because I live on a different continent to him. So I'm like, oh, it's nice to see Andy. He also historically has not been a competent problem solver. I remember...
Says a sister.
I remember once he was trying to open a box of chocolates and didn't realize it had those little tape bits attaching the lid to the bottom. So eventually just started clawing through the lid. So that's the kind of energy he was bringing. But actually he's shown some surprising sides. He's got a propensity for making art films. He did very well in a throwing game with his right hand. He's left-handed, but throws great with his
Incredible.
right. Who knew? Very proud of him. But I don't know the
that's nice to
result.
hear.
We have not earned spoilers.
Yeah, I've
Amazing.
heard that before. Like, you can't. Family members don't even know how their family members are doing on reality shows.
I
Like,
think
they're
that's
not allowed
also
to tell
just our
anybody.
family. We don't talk that much. It's not because we don't like each other. It's just like, well, I assume if things weren't fine, I'd have heard about it. And if they're fine, then we'll just carry on.
Well, there we
That's
go.
a real sort of
that's
embodiment
beautiful.
of that poster, right? Like,
Oh, no.
I can't wait to watch this season that he's on because I've watched some in the past, but I haven't and I think it's like one of the most like wholesome, charming, fun shows to watch. And like, I did watch a number of episodes when I was just dropping clots in my hotel in London when I was there for 3 days. It was like a full day
Fun
and a half
memory.
of me and Taskmaster. It was.
You see? Clot. There we are.
Dropping clots.
Yeah.
Slot,
No,
yeah.
we're getting a long ways away from book club.
Yeah.
Maybe this is why our original book clubs
Failed.
failed. Anyway, Lisa, would you enjoy reading the background here?
Wouldn't I? Yes, I would love to. Okay. This is the long-awaited memoir from Kelly Bishop, born Carol Bishop. She, of course, is an American actress and dancer, best known for her roles as matriarch Emily Gilmore on the series Gilmore Girls and as Marjorie Houseman, the mother of Jennifer Grey's Frances Baby Houseman in the film Dirty Dancing. Bishop is also legendary for originating the role of Sheila in A Chorus Line, for which she won a Tony Award for Best Performance by a Featured Actress in a Musical. And we did A Chorus Line here.
And I didn't know
yeah.
I didn't know this at all.
Well, she's not in the movie,
Yeah.
No,
as
she's
you
not.
learned
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
book, but yeah.
But I didn't know that she, like, the part was originated by her and based on her experience.
Yeah, so cool, right? I'm gonna read the synopsis, but I'll trim it down a tiny bit because we basically kind of already got that first part. But Kelly Bishop reflects on her remarkable life and looks towards the future with the third Gilmore Girl. She shares some of her greatest stories and the life lessons she's learned on her journey, from her early transition from dance to drama, to marrying young, to a compulsive gambler, to the losses and achievements she experienced, among them marching for women's rights and losing her second husband to cancer. Bishop offers a rich, genuine celebration of her life, full of witty insights and featuring a special collection of personal and professional photographs. Oh, which I didn't get in the listening experience.
Aww.
Oh, well. The third Gilmore Girl is a warm, unapologetic, and spirited memoir from a woman who has left indelible impressions on her audiences for decades and has no plans on slowing down. And that's from Simon & Schuster.
A lot of the photos in the book are of her with various dogs. So just imagine Kelly
nice.
Bishop at different ages with different dogs.
That's really nice. That's really, really nice.
So after finding out all of her dancing experience, reading this book and all that, I have to say I have a new fantasy ending to Dirty Dancing now, where like Mrs. Houseman just like takes over the dance floor at the end, and that's the
Absolutely.
big number at the end of the movie. She does her own
Yep.
thing.
She is wasted in that film.
It does exactly what I was just going to say. I mean, how do you do a whole film about dancing when you've got a Tony Award-winning dancer right there?
I know that she was originally supposed to play was it Vivian?
Yep,
And
Vivian
Vivian is
Prescott.
kind of a bigger part than Baby's mother, who gets like 2 lines and a little bit of hip shaking with the dweeby hotel son at the end. Like, she deserves a better partner than that guy.
In the book, she says she was happier to have that role because it meant she was on set for the whole time and Vivian Prescott only taped for a little bit. But that's like it. And it's kind of interesting to me because the woman who played Vivian Prescott was also like helping, like the choreography assistant, because she's also a dancer. They did have a lot of dancers on set for Dirty Dancing. So, but like, I feel like maybe her part was a tiny bit bigger and it got trimmed a little bit. Like, because if you cut a couple of like key, even cutting like 2 or 3 lines from her sort of trims the role quite substantially. Because like, there's no real reason for Marjorie Houseman to be on set the entire time for like all weeks of filming. Like, she must have had a little tiny bit more to do originally, you'd think.
Release the Kelly Bishop cut.
Yeah, exactly. With her dance number at the end.
Exactly.
I mean, that's sort of like one of the fun things about the movie, though, is like when she says, I think she got it from me, is like, it's a bit of an inside line. If you know, you know. And if you don't, you just think Marjorie is having like a fun moment where she like then tells her husband to sit down. You know, like it's, she finally comes alive in the last couple minutes.
Are we?
and-
Okay, sorry, I'm confused now. Are we saying
No.
Baby was a good dancer? Because I don't remember having this discussion.
I think Baby learned to dance like pretty well in that couple weeks, and she at least could do her routine. But like, it's more so like Marjorie Houseman takes credit in that moment, and I've always enjoyed that.
I would have distanced myself, but you know what? That's different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Speaking as a mother.
There you go. I don't know where
Wow.
that came from.
Wow. I was relatively impressed with what Jennifer Grey learned to do in that short time.
Difficult.
Especially when your partner is Patrick Swayze.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
that would have struck me as should be better. I would want to live up to Patrick Swayze's standards, no?
but I mean, it's supposed to be realistic. She's supposed to be just like an average
She
camper.
learned
Learning how to
do
dance.
that.
She's not.
Yeah.
That's the
If
character.
it was realistic, a 50-year-old man wouldn't have been hanging out at that cabin with those moves. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, we here to talk about Kelly Bishop or not? She's already been sidelined from this movie. Not our own podcast, too.
Also, he was 28. He wasn't 50. Anyway.
Still.
All right. I loved this book so much. How did you guys feel about it?
I
yeah.
love content that is about what it was like to live in New York in
Me
60s,
too.
70s, 80s.
Oh my God.
I love stuff about what it's like to be in theatre, being a hoofer. That was delightful to me. And also I love that she was just very frank about never wanting to have children. I feel like we don't read that all that much.
Yes.
And she
Yes.
explicitly says it a bunch of times. I mean, she does imply that she prefers animals to people, which is sometimes cause for concern.
But then she backs it up with having a lot of really good friendships. So I guess
Yes.
we can feel a little bit reassured that.
Yes. And I thought it was kind of iconic when she first brings up that she doesn't want children when she was quite young and her mother was talking to her about it. And she said, well, looking back, it wasn't such a surprise because I hated playing with dolls. And if I had to play with dolls or play like made up stories, I'd insist on being the dad that goes out to work. Iconic.
There were signs.
Yeah. And just and like just, you know, she talks very clearly about her abortion, and she explicitly states like, you know, she had never felt terribly political, but she'd always believed in like bodily autonomy. And like, it's extremely refreshing to, I don't really like the word unapologetic that's used often when talking about like how women write or like how people do things, but I appreciate it in this context of just like these things that socially we're supposed to be sort of like somehow a little bit ashamed of. She is just like, no, that was like absolutely the best choice that I could have made. And then she becomes like this lifelong person who believes in just abortion as healthcare.
Yeah. And it seems like quite often she is sort of ahead of her time socially. Like she feels pressure to get married in her mid-20s because that at the time means that she's an old crone if she leaves it till she's in her late 20s. So she has this marriage that is not to a great guy, and it ends like fairly soon, but still later than it should have. And you get the impression where she's like, well, that's the last time that I do things that are expected of me because it's just not a good idea.
Yeah. Especially like with all the work that she puts into sort of becoming a dancer and like sort of bucking a lot of conventions socially that way. And it is surprising actually when she gets married. And I'm always going to cheer people on in their divorces.
Well, she painted
Always.
such a vivid picture of that period of her life of auditioning for shows.
Yeah.
And I was like so drawn in and so engrossed in the story of A Chorus Line and just like how it became like I didn't know that much about the Broadway version of A Chorus Line and how they like it's seen as the show that saved Broadway, and you know how just hearing about how she was part of the sort of creative brainstorming that went into like researching the show before it was written, and it was all so fascinating. And I don't know if any of you did this, but I went online to sort of search for if there's anything on YouTube from like her performances on Broadway, and there's some like grainy footage that you can watch, and it's like fantastic.
It's
Everybody should look for that.
it's kind
Look
of
it up.
upsetting
We'll link
to
to
me
it.
that she didn't have a really, really meaty role until Emily Gilmore she was in her late 50s then. Like I think her performance in that is like so incredible, so layered. Emily is kind of a monster, and she makes her someone my heart really aches for her. It's just astonishing to me that it took so many decades for Kelly Bishop to get a role worthy of her talents.
Rather ironic considering that all of the things we've just been saying about, you know, not wanting to live the life that everybody else had and bucking all that. And then what does she end up with?
Golf.
Emily Gilmore.
Oh.
Right? I mean...
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me that she talks about that, like how like Emily Gilmore is not someone she'd be friends with, and you know, like that kind of thing. Because like, you know, if you don't read this book and you don't know her, like she just seems like this personification of this patrician East Coast elite woman. Like she plays the role so perfectly. It's hard to believe that like there's not a little bit of Emily Gilmore in her.
Yeah. What?
I feel bad she said that because I've always loved Emily Gilmore. I know from the very first, I think one of the very first times on this podcast we talked about the Gilmore Girls was for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember defending Emily as being a better mother than Lorelai, and there was a lot of horror from that.
I mean, I still challenge that, but I think actually like it's Kelly Bishop is so good, and she understands that like when she's sort of talking about Emily and embodying Emily in the book, she gets at that sort of like hurt, and like Emily wants to be a slightly different person. She just can't let herself be that because of all sorts of ways that she was brought up. Mm-hmm. And I think she like that's one of the things that makes Emily such a great character, because like she is flawed. She has all these things that like there's lots of reasons Kelly Bishop said she'd never be friends with Emily, and I think those are all extremely valid. But like Emily Gilmore is such a compelling character because we see how she does really want to have something sort of closer and more bonded with like her daughter, and how much it hurt her to like have Lorelai leave and all of these different things, and how much she loves Richard, and like she just has like such a an unpleasant way, because of sort of like the capitalist gods that she serves, of like sort of connecting in a more humane and inclusive way of like conducting herself. But I think like the way that Kelly Bishop talks about Emily Gilmore is excellent, and that's why we love Emily Gilmore, even though she does awful things.
But you know what? The reason that she might like A Year in the Life is that because Emily Gilmore actually has like a pretty good storyline in A Year in the Life.
Yeah.
She did. Oh, it's better than Rory's, that's for sure.
Or Lane.
Yeah. Or poor Lane.
Justice
Yeah,
for Lane.
yeah.
I liked what Kelly Bishop said about the Year in a Life where she leaves the DAR and how much she delighted in that being a plot line. She says, "This is not an indictment against the DAR. Since I've never been to a meeting or talked to anyone who has, I avoid elitist exclusionary groups like the plague. On the very rare occasions when I found myself surrounded by judgmental snobs, I've been politely tolerant while secretly looking for the exit."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Glorious.
Listening to her say those words was like chef's kiss.
It is. And I know, and I probably have a soft spot for Emily too, because I had, my therapist did tell me once that bad behavior comes from unmet attachment needs.
Yeah.
That explains why so many Gilmore Girls characters are incredibly manipulative.
Yes.
Even the ones you're supposed to like.
Yes.
I also liked that she was honest about having had a facelift. She was like, I was going on television in my late 50s and I was insecure about my appearance, so I had a facelift. And like most people are like, so good genes, and I used this face cream. Like, good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very clear about it. And there is a difference between pilot Emily Gilmore and season 1 Emily Gilmore. And I'm glad she talks about that. And like, you know, I think it's like really helpful because like, I don't know, one of the things about Gilmore Girls that was always really a little difficult was just like, again, all of the anti-fatness that is embedded in that show, but then Lorelai and Rory are just eating all the time.
They're ordering all the time. You don't actually see them eat.
No, I agreed.
Yes.
But like, that's the thing. Like it's a real mess with you kind of thing. And even though they've got like fat characters and fat actors on the show, there's still a show that is like really just so cruel about fatness in general. And so like there's always been a disconnect for me in all of that. And I know I've talked about that a lot, but like I feel like there's some stuff. There's interesting stuff that she never talks about in the book. Rory almost never comes up at all, except to talk about Alexis Bledel having had a bad audition and a good audition. And
Salty.
then, like, that's it.
And also that Lauren Graham is propelling her around so that she hits her marks.
Exactly. She does not seem like an Alexis Bledel fan, which I was sort of intrigued by.
Well, in some of the reading I did to read the outline, it said that like she has said in interviews that they have not kept in touch since Gilmore Girls. Like she regularly has lunch with Amy Sherman Palladino and Lauren Graham in New York. They have like a ladies' lunch, but she has not been kept in touch with Alexis Bledel.
Interesting. So interesting.
Well,
like,
I mean, a little bit fair too, though, right? I mean, I don't.
Oh, she's much younger.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I get it. I get
and
it.
she wasn't
It's
that
just-
same kind of person in that, like, you know what I mean? Who'd kind of the way it was described. I think she said this was her first role, right?
It was.
Yeah,
It was
and
her
so
first
she
role.
didn't have that same sort of been around, you know. Who's up next? You know, like there wasn't that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've read that about Alexis Bledel, like that story about how, you know, she was just starting. It was her first role. She didn't know what she was doing.
She dates her coworkers and then sometimes marries them. She doesn't hang out with the other people on set.
Okay, well, that is also a way to do Hollywood. I mean, that's also a very standard way.
Does she and Lauren Graham hang out?
I mean, I guess
That's the real question.
I
don't
know. That's an interesting question. I mean, she is super good friends with the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Those seem to be her core four. So I guess like that's something.
Well, and to be fair, Lauren Graham had another daughter on Parenthood that I think she's close to.
Oh, Mae
right?
Whitman.
Yeah. Mae Whitman.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys, did you all weep at the bye to Richard. Like, she was in the room.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It was so beautiful, and it was so devastating, and I was very touched again, like, about just the way that she sort of conveys the different sort of like stages of grief that she goes through, and how she talks about grief. I thought was really
the way
helpful.
that she described widowhood was really raw, I think, and that's hard to put into words.
Yeah. To be clear, she was not widowed from Richard Gilmore. She was widowed from her own husband.
Actually.
I just in case anyone's listening and is like, I didn't know they were married. They weren't.
No,
Don't worry. Richard and
no.
Emily were not married in real life. That's a separate situation. But like, yeah, I think like being able to sort of like to go through sort of that process of widowhood through Amy's words in A Year in the Life, and then to like be dealing with her own, like I found it very like, I got up to the precipice and I was like, I'm going to hit pause and I'm going to revisit this tomorrow when I have like a stronger constitution for all of this like emotional upheaval.
I did the same. I ignored it for a weekend and then was like, gotta finish. Pop, this is coming up. And then you learn only at her husband's funeral that she was like, I've had a lifelong spirituality and there's a psychic medium at my husband's funeral. Oh, and when I was younger, I got kissed at the bus stop by a passing stranger and he was my guardian angel.
Yeah,
I think.
that was strange.
That was left field. I gotta say. Look, I guess everyone gets to internalize their own sort of like experiences with assault, however they wish. But like, and I'm glad she didn't feel that it was in, something that damaged her for life. But like,
It's funny because I think what might be missing from this book are anecdotes, and maybe it's more honest that way because most people don't remember clearly conversations that they had or exactly what happened in moments of their life. So it is more of a broad brush book, but there is quite a clear recollection of when she was fairly recently moved to New York and someone harassed her on a subway, and she sort of verbally rebukes him.
Yeah.
Yet the other person who initiates unsolicited sexual contact is her guardian angel.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess it's got to be vibes. Although, sometimes it's a gross penis. What? Because of the guy on the subway. He was trying to show her his penis, remember?
It could have had angel wings on it.
Wow, just dead silence. Wow.
Well, that's what you get when you say gross penis. I mean, it's a lot.
Wow, that's what I get when I say gross penis is just dead silence.
Well, it's one of your catchphrases. But I don't think...
it is weird to like have it be like those two instances are like just a world apart in terms of how she interprets them.
True.
Well, that's why it's her memoir.
No, I know. I'm just like, it's really fascinating to me. And that's why I have to assume it's about genitalia partly.
So let's go back to the Gilmore Girls discussion though, because I think there was a lot of surprise. And when I looked up reviews and the stuff that people wanted to talk about was that she was Team Logan and how she always thought, I don't know, like that's, yeah, I don't know if
You look like you're swallowing your own sick at the thought of someone being Team Logan. I was texting with a friend the other day about my Gilmore Girls rewatch, and not only is she Team Logan, she has a crush on Christopher. I've had to block her on all platforms.
Oh my God.
Oh.
This friend is dead to you.
Sorry,
now.
Kat.
Wow.
You blew it.
But the fact that she thought that he played the role as kind of an adult, I was really like, boy, oh boy. Maybe she doesn't know the expression Nepo baby or something. I don't know, but
I think she's impressed with the actor. And I think that's the difference. I think like, and it kind of makes sense to me because like we've seen Logan go on to, the actor playing Logan, go on to do some good stuff. Like he's a good actor. Like that's not sort of necessarily up for debate. And I feel like she is making a distinction in the book where she's Team Logan, but it's because of the actor and how much she enjoyed watching him work.
Yeah, she probably has more scenes with him than Jess or Dean combined as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's in Emily's circle.
And he lasts longer.
Yeah, he
Like
does.
he's 3.5 years.
Was it that long?
Well, I mean, it's interesting
Sorry,
that
guys.
Emily Gilmore would be Team Logan too, probably.
Yeah. That's how
Oh, yeah.
immersed in the character she is. She's method.
I mean, and to be fair, whenever this conversation topic comes up, it's not like Jess or
The other one.
sorry, Bland Man,
Dean.
Bland man, yeah.
yeah,
Dean's like, oh, come on.
are like much better. You like Dean? Are you Team
Well,
Dean?
he starts off good, right? He's come from Chicago. He's interested in books and things. And then they just make him into this like extremely small-minded person that has no ambitions to interact with the world. So I feel like he suffers from the writing.
And I have to say, I mean, I know we're talking about this book, but if we can just relitigate how Rory loses her virginity with Dean in the middle of a party, okay.
What is there to relitigate?
You know,
Yeah, it's awful.
WB shows of the time hated sex havers. They hated them in Veronica Mars.
Okay.
And you cross the lot. They hate them in Gilmore Girls. They punish sex havers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always, in my rewatches every year, or multiple times a year, depending on what the year's been like, I always skip past their sex scene. If I never have to hear that Candyland song that they play,
God, Rory's a nightmare.
It is awful.
See, sex havers are punished even by
Awful.
the other sex haver.
Yeah, it's monster.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be allowed to have sex. No wonder Luke was so angry about an adult woman having sex. He's like, I've heard what you do with the soundtrack. Got to protect the other people that you're having sex with.
Yeah. Time and place, right? Come on. Yeah.
I just feel like that's like eventually, finally, she gets to her own dorm room and she doesn't have to share with Paris, so she can throw down there. But like,
But then she doesn't.
I
Everyone just it's like, look at Rory's dry spell. How embarrassing.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god. But I want to go back to Emily Gilmore for a minute, because have any of you watched Bunheads? Like, because I know Kelly Bishop is a big part of Bunheads.
Am I unfair to assume that given that it's set in the ballet world and is by the Sherman Palladinos, the fat shaming will be strong?
I don't know. It wasn't even the fat shaming that bothered me. I was basically what they did for the pilot episode of Bunheads is they kind of almost recreated to a certain extent the pilot of or one of the early Gilmore Girls seasons episodes, like where Sutton Foster even wears Lorelai's outfit of like cowboy boots, jean shorts, a shirt, and a coat because she has to like run and get some, like, anyway. And then the plot twist at the end of the pilot for Bunheads made me so mad, just viscerally. So I could not go on with the show. And it wasn't about fat shaming, but I just like, anyway, I've been told that I need to get over myself and watch the rest of the show because Kelly Bishop is so good in it. And Sutton Foster is great, obviously. And like, it's about dance and like, they both have this dance background. So
We'll watch that together as well.
you know,
We'll just spend a weekend watching this stuff.
Much.
Well, apparently, aren't they working on a new show called Etoile? That is
Yes.
another
So they're in
ballet?
Paris. I don't know if it's
I believe
ballet.
it's ballet.
But I know that is it ballet? Okay. So Kelly Bishop and the guy who plays Michelle.
Yannick Truesdale.
Yannick Truesdale, thank you. Yeah, they're in Paris shooting stuff. Or at least they have been recently.
Wow. And Sutton Foster making the page 6 every day right now.
She's got stuff going on.
Yeah. One huge
I don't know if
Jackman,
she's in Etoile or not, but Etoile?
Yeah.
Sorry. I shouldn't say Etoile.
I really enjoyed the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Is that what it's called?
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
I watched all of
Did
that.
you?
Yeah.
I tried. I couldn't get into it. I think
It gets better as you go.
I watched a season and a half.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait that long, Andrea.
You gave it your,
just-
yeah.
I also watched a season and a half. And
I was
bowed
like,
out,
why
yeah.
didn't they hire someone good to write her some decent stand-up? Why?
that would be a delight.
Be
But
preferable.
I mean, yeah. But I heard that Kelly Bishop was in
Yes.
that as well for
Yeah.
4 episodes, and she was excellent in it too.
She was.
So like, I mean, honestly, like if Amy's whole reason for being is to just like create work for Kelly
Great.
Bishop, I'm okay with that. Like,
Everyone needs a purpose. That sounds like a good one.
yeah, it's
well,
a good
and again,
purpose.
it's
Yeah.
a show that's like set in 1950s New York, so you
I ought to
really-
like it.
get that feeling. I love the apartments. I love seeing her outfits.
Oh my gosh, the apartments. Yeah.
But she does that thing where
think that-
it's like, I'm just going to talk endlessly so no one gets a word in, and we're going to all act like this is charming rather than I'm going to be actually charming. I said it.
You know what? It
you-
grows on you. By the time
It doesn't. You just get
You're in season
worn
4.
down. It's like
You're
Lorelai
like, I'm
Gilmore.
looking forward to the rest of this.
You just after a while you give up. You're like, okay, they're someone who's evolved beyond the need to breathe while talking. So I just I'm just gonna collapse in defeat. That's what happened to you.
That's actually big. That's actually kind of impressive, though. If you've evolved beyond the need to breathe while talking, like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll
That's
grant
pretty
that.
good. I'm working towards that.
You're doing pretty good.
Trying.
Ooh. Ow, meow.
It's fine. I understand. You might have hundreds and thousands of hours she's had to edit of me talking at this point in her
Yeah,
life.
that's
so,
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
you know,
Oh, I
Put
thought
yourself
she'd just
in my
seen you do
shoes.
aquafit without putting your head above the water once.
I've got so many different skills.
That's true.
I do have a question though. Do you guys think that they will do another Gilmore Girls before?
No, I don't.
No?
No. I hope they don't too.
I mean,
I don't need to.
I feel like Lauren Graham and Kelly Bishop would, and maybe Alexis Bledel wouldn't, because she's had the Handmaid's Tale awards part of her career now.
But I think she just left The Handmaid's Tale, right? Like she's done now?
What if it's just a complete spin-off though, and it's like Suki's kids and Rory's kid?
They're very different ages, aren't they? So I'm not sure they'd hang out. Like Suki's kids
Well, how
and
old's
Lane's
the
kids
third
might
one?
hang out, but Rory's
Oh, there we go.
Rory's
Lane's
kid's like 8
right,
years younger
yeah.
than them. If she has it, because they left that open, they were like, well, she
We
could
don't
get an
know, yeah.
abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Netflix might allow abortion, but WB wouldn't have. Yeah.
Well, it was on Netflix, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like
Oh, yeah.
Netflix could, but we'll see. I just think they might try to get the band back together one more time. Just wow.
I wonder what the story
Kelly's-
would be to tell, though.
I mean, that's a good question. It would have to focus on Kelly though, I think. Like I think that Amy is in her like creating for Kelly era. So I guess like this Etoile thing is going to be like whatever it is, we'll see. I just feel like she oh my god, what if they killed Rory?
Interesting.
What?
I don't think they would want to see Lorelai that sad. But what if
No.
Emily was getting married again?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So Lorelai's adjusting to the idea
Gilmore-
of having a new father at age 60 or whatever she is. And Emily is like, do I want to give up my freedom? Because I had a lot of sex friends in Nantucket.
I can hear like the network, you know, the promo, a very Gilmore wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Rory's threatening to ruin it by like some indiscretion, like at Emily's remarriage to Richard.
Yeah.
And then Luke and Suki fight over who will cater it. It's gonna be
Seems
great.
right to
And then that just opens the
Yeah.
floodgates to like a very Gilmore Christmas. It just like
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So they haven't
good.
really done Christmas episodes, which is interesting. And there was less
Yeah.
Thanksgiving than I thought. There's the one with like deep fried turkey and stuff, but mostly it's sort of mentioned
Yeah.
but not really depicted.
yeah.
But there
think
were a
they-
lot of weird parties
Yeah.
at the Gilmore
yeah.
house.
But I do think that they got a little, I don't know if it's true or if I'm misremembering because I didn't watch the show from the beginning. I came in late, but there was a bit of moving around sometimes on the schedule. Like I don't know if it always did a traditional September to May. I could be wrong. I just feel like they were often doing some summer episodes. Like not that it was airing during the summer, but they set some episodes during the summer sometimes. So like, yeah.
It feels like
couldn't really, like,
a
line it
Christmas
up.
episode is a missed opportunity.
Well, they did the one episode. I mean, I hate to say that I know this, but they did the one episode where they like delay Christmas for Rory to come back in season 7 because she went to London to see Logan, and then they come back and they have their Christmas, and it's like, but it's like an after Christmas, and it's a whole thing.
I haven't reached season 7
Yeah.
yet, so I've wiped that from my memory.
Sorry.
Ready to rewrite it.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Sorry,
I don't
sorry, sorry.
I don't mind spoilers for a show I've already seen. But maybe that was because the Sherman
All right.
Palladinos had left, so they were like, well, let's get Christmas in here.
Yeah, maybe. But we have come to. I mean, I feel like we barely even touched on the book. I'm so sorry.
We did a lot of Gilmore Girls talk, which is why we wanted to do this
Yeah.
book.
That's true.
I mean, no offense,
That's true.
Kelly Bishop. Your story is great, but
Fascinating.
you called
We
it
wanted to
the
talk
Gilmore
about
Girl.
Gilmore.
You
She
did.
knows. She called the book the
Exactly,
third Gilmore.
yes.
She knows what she's.
Yeah.
She's not
And then
too
people
good,
complain
yeah.
that she doesn't talk about Gilmore Girls enough in it. Because she's like, yeah, I had a job
Yeah.
for 7 years and then I didn't. So waiting for the phone to ring again.
Yeah,
That's what she's got to say about it.
I love
Which is also a good name for a memoir. So,
waiting for the phone to ring
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
Kids these days wouldn't understand that.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. Okay, but does the third Gilmore Girl pop?
I think it does.
Yeah, if that's what you're like, it's a niche thing to me. But yeah, I mean, it's a
Well,
lovely
I mean,
book,
I think
and
if you're,
I enjoyed the audiobook.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
for all the Gilmore Girls fans out there, yes, it's going to pop. And
Uh-huh.
if you're fans of like, if you want to learn about Broadway history, yeah, it
Yes.
pops.
I think if you are not aware of the work of Kelly Bishop, then you can still get something out of this book if you're interested in what it's like to be in entertainment for 60 years.
Yeah, it pops big time for me. It really was everything I wanted this book to be, and I would have loved like some more mentions of like what she thought of like some of her other co-stars, and like I would love to know her read on like Mrs. Kim and Lane and Paris. I want, that would be cool, but she's not here just to give me like a Kelly Bishop's Guide to Gilmore Girls. That's not the book that she wrote, but I would 100% pay
She's
extra
mostly
for
not that salty about people who are still alive.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, very smart. Even if
Yeah.
you're 80 and you can start burning some bridges, I love that she's. Nope, you never
Yeah.
know. You never, you don't know when that phone's gonna ring.
Exactly. She also says, a thing that didn't read that well in this day and age, I think, brilliantly hilarious Woody Allen.
I know. I thought that was a choice. She didn't need to make that choice.
Yeah. Maybe just quietly edit that out, Kelly. Unless she's not heard. She's not paid attention to the Woody Allen news for 30 years.
I feel like everyone knows, and the ones who just don't care tell on themselves all the time. Yeah.
Well, there was a Woody Allen scene in Gilmore Girls. I was just watching it. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
old. So.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. We also love to leave our episodes on something we recommend. Helen, as our guest of honor, would you like to go first?
I think if you are looking for some little dollops of happiness in your life, then go to the Instagram account of Siegfried and Joy, who are a pair of magicians. And I don't want to spoil the rest, but like virtually every video is soundtracked to It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion. And
Oh, okay.
I can't get enough of it. It's just so cheering and cute.
What's the first name? Siegfried.
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 Yeah. Siegfried
okay.
and Joy.
All right,
It's wordplay
okay.
on the other magicians.
Right, there we go. On the yeah, got it. Yeah.
Thank you. I am very excited. I mean, it's also, my favorite Celine Dion song. So yay. AG?
So, I like to have a reality competition type show in my viewing rotation at any given time. And right now I'm just obsessed with Culinary Class Wars.
Ooh.
It's a South Korean cooking competition show.
Cool.
And it's like 100 chefs competing to win like
Oh my gosh.
$300,000. And it's like 50 of the chefs are like considered senior experienced star chefs. And 50 of them are like new up and coming chefs. And they sort of challenge each other to cook-offs. It's fascinating and excellent and very compelling.
Where do you watch that?
On Netflix.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just looked it up here. Okay, yeah.
Amazing. Awesome.
100 chefs
cool.
in a competition. That is a lot of people to remember. Even when it's 10, I can't remember until half of them have gone.
Well, they narrow it down pretty quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Lisa, how about you?
Yeah, so the third season of Somebody Somewhere is finally out, and there are 2 episodes up now. And this is the final season of the show as well. And I love that show so much. And, season 3 is still doing that same amazing mix of cozy, sad, and funny. But obviously we know it's working towards something because this is the final season. Not sure why, but I maybe everyone's got other stuff to do, but 3 seasons seems too short for me. But anyway, it's on Crave, so you only get one season, one show a week, 1 episode.
Okay, yeah. So you can't binge it.
You can't binge it. Well, unless you wait a little while. But it's up now, two episodes.
Nice.
Awesome. I do love that show so much. Thank you, Lisa. I'm going to recommend a book by my poet friend, Matthew Walsh. They have a new book. It's called Terrarium. And I just heard them read from it last night, and it was so great. Their debut collection is called These Are Not the Potatoes of My Youth. And I love that book so much. And this is just like a little write-up from Goose Lane Editions, who published the book, Matthew Walsh's exploration of queer identity and desire against the lonely highs and lows of depression and addiction. But listen to this line of them describing an aspect of California. A long black cocktail dress, the night lights, amethyst and citrine against the arm, muscle of the sea. Isn't that beautiful? Anyway, they're really talented. They're really smart. And I'm just so excited for their new book. And now I have it. So, yay.
What's the book called?
Terrarium.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, Helen, you have an exciting new adventure happening in January here in Vancouver.
Yes.
Can you please tell people? Because I already have my tickets, but they need to get theirs.
Yes. It is the 10th birthday of my podcast, The Illusionist. So to celebrate, I'm doing a live show at the Rio Theatre at 2 p.m. on Sunday, the 12th of January, because matinees are a good vibe, I think. And it'll be really fun. There'll be some 10th birthday fun stuff, but also a live show that been developing for a while. Something special just for Vancouverites is in the works. But also there's one of my favorite stories I've ever worked on about 2 men who were great friends and then have a huge falling out. And it's very funny, but also very poignant.
Wow, that sounds like a very perfect January cozy afternoon
I will
event.
see you there. Yeah, I mean, January always is a bit of a slog in Vancouver. But,
yeah. But it'll be a reunion of this episode of Pop This.
Yeah, there we go. Yes.
Where do you want people to find you online?
TheIllusionist.org. That'll do it. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and for joining us again. We're obviously going to be extremely excited to talk about A Year in the Life and revisit that with you sometime next year. You don't even know what you've signed up for.
Yeah,
you're just gonna stop. You're gonna stop saying that you're gonna watch stuff with me because then I'm gonna make you.
I feel great about it. It's one of our January cheering activities. We're going to do that.
Excellent.
Sounds great.
Plan ahead.
Sounds great. Thank you, everyone, for listening. You can hang out with us online, too. We've got a variety of different places where we make that hard because they're all named different things. But you can email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com because that's always super easy. And we love to hear from you. And I believe it was Bronwyn who came up to say hello a few weeks ago at a trivia event that I hosted. And Bronwyn is a big fan of the podcast. So hi, Bronwyn. Thanks for listening to us. It's really nice of you.
Yeah, very nice. And thank you, Helen. And as always, thanks to Andrea Gin, who is our co-host and producer here. at Pop This, which is recorded live on Wednesday evenings.
And heavily edited afterwards.
Yeah. Ugh.
Are you going to edit out the giant silence after I said gross penis? Or are you going to let it sit
Just
there?
going to echo
Heavy.
through.
Yeah.
Well, that's
leave
exactly
it.
how what should happen to a gross penis. It should just have to sit there, right? I mean,
Be edited out or echo through. Well, that's a terrible last word to leave you on. I'm so sorry, everyone. But you know what? If you want to wipe that from your memory, go to theillusionist.org.
there we go. Well said.
Yes.
Where my next episode is about gross penises.
Got to get that in right there at the end.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Helen.
Yeah, thanks, Helen.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye.